Hi, and welcome to Periergy. Today, we're going to continue on the second episode, the second part of the series of the SuperSolver coding challenge. In the last video, I showed you the basic idea behind the project and the main code that I have, and I've showed you this function, which is gonna have the it's going to look a lot like English if you think about it. And if you don't know what this is, I didn't see that in the last video, but I'm importing the other file as BR. So if you see BR, this just means that it comes from the other file. So I want to remind you that you can follow along, you can copy the code, you can do whatever you want to do with it. And I want this project to be something that I can share on my channel. And if you want to help me out, please do. Please leave a comment. Please leave a like. And today I want to show you how the different parts of the code works, because this was done in the last video, but this weren't actually correct. So I had to correct them a bit, and now that I can show you how they work. So you can see that the first function that I call is called Parse Expression, and I said this is the function that I call so that I can clean all the various stuff that the user can give me that I don't like, something like this. And you can see if I open this that the first thing to do is I replace all the space characters with an empty space, so that all the space characters that I might have um, that I don't want are going to get removed, and it's going to be not a really readable expression, but it doesn't matter for the computer. And this is the first condition that I'm going to have to check if the expression is wrong. And it just says that if the number of opening brackets is different than the number of closing brackets, that must mean that the expression is wrong. And therefore, it just returns none. And that tells the main function that the expression is wrong. And if it's wrong, it's going to display just sorry, but we couldn't solve the expression. And the next thing that I do is change the consecutive additions or subtraction sign. And you can see an example right here. If you have a negative and then a positive, this should be just a negative sign. And in a normal situation, so if the code was finished, this would probably be displayed, or I have to choose if I want to display the fact that I cleaned this stuff. But right now it isn't because the code isn't finished. So you can see it's a basic while loop, and the while goes from, it takes an iterator. That iterator is just the index that starts from 0 and it goes all the way to the length of the expression, but -1, because I need to check every time the expression index and the expression index +1, and I cannot do that if I am in the last character of the expression, or it's going to give me an error. And you can see that in here, I have all the cases really basic. This is the case where I have two addition signs, and you can see that if the expression of index, so if the character that you're looking at right now is an addition sign, and the next one is also an addition sign, well, that means that you have to change the expression, and that is the expression must go from its start to the index not included, and it has to go, well, I don't need that, but doesn't matter. It has to add just one addition sign, and then it has to go from the index +2 so that the next character is not actually encoded all the way to the end. And because we found something like this, so we find an error, it's better to let the index restart from its position, because this prevents it to move to the next character and leave a character behind not checked. And you can see that factually, that is a word, does not go backwards, because at the end of the loop, index always go up by 1. And of course, the length of the expression is goes down by 1, because we had two characters, and right now we only have 1. And the same thing goes for the other cases. I can show you the subtractions, and we have an addition and a subtraction sign, and these are the signs that I've declared right here. So this is the subtraction sign, this is the addition sign. And if we encounter that, we're going to do the same thing, but right now we're going to add the subtraction sign because plus and minus do give a minus. Same thing with the index and the length of the expression, and same thing with the subtraction and addition, which gives the subtractions, and the subtraction and subtractions, which give an addition. Well, that was a hard sentence to state. Oh my god. And in here, between these two lines, I'm going to have all the conditions that I didn't think of right now. So if the user could input something that I don't want, it would probably go between those stuff. So right here, because this is the last part, and this makes sure that the spaces that we removed at the start of the function get pushed back again. And the way to do that is another while, which goes until the length of the expression, but this time we don't need to use a variable because we don't need to modify the length of the expression because we're going to add the new expression with the spaces in another variable. To do that, I have a useful variable that I take so that I don't have to rewrite every time the expression of index. And because it represents the character, I give it that name. And of course, we need to check if the character that I'm looking at right now is numeric or a decimal point character. So this is the decimal point character. Because if we don't have a numeric symbol, we might have something like an operation or a bracket, and therefore we want to add a space after, and that's what I do. So you can see right here that, where is it? Right here. The new expression is equal to itself plus the character that you see right now plus another character. But if you don't see, but if you do see a numeric number or a decimal point, that means that we have this situation and we don't want a space between the numbers or between the point and 6 and the other numbers, so the decimal part. But we don't care about the subtraction sign before it doesn't matter. So I'm going to leave that space right there. And therefore, what we do is if we have a decimal point or a number, it's going to go in another loop. It's going to take again the character as the expression because we moved it to another loop. And it's going to check for the expression every time. And if this is going to happen because we always have a last character, which is a closing bracket because of the way we treated the expression right here. So it is going to go out the while loop eventually. And if this condition is evaluated, that means that the character that you have right now is actually not numeric. So you can add the space character between the last character, which was a number or well, it must have been a number, plus the character plus another space character, and it's going to break. These statements are just for debug. I'm going to delete them in the future. And yeah, going on, if that is not the case, that means that we're still in the case where we see a character which is numeric or a decimal point character. So we don't need to add the space afterwards. And this is just a way to have my iterator go up by 1. And this is the same iterator as the other one, because of course, even though we changed the loop, we still have the same iterator. Because this loop just makes sure that you don't add another space character. Yeah, this is a pretty difficult part of the code, the parsing of the expression. Well, it's not the most difficult one, I think. But at the end, of course, we have a bracket, a closing bracket. So if you remember correctly from here, a space is going to be added afterwards. And I didn't know how to remove that. I didn't feel like putting an if because that would have not worked. And therefore I did like this. I just removed the last character, and the way to do this is the new expression is just the new expression from itself from the start all the way to the last character, which is not included. And so we have the new expression, the expression that we had before, the one that it is actually taken by the function was not modified, and now we can just modify it with the new expression, which is the correct one, and just return it. And therefore right here is going to have the right expression all corrected. All right, so in this video, I showed you how the parse expression worked. And if you have any advices, any suggestions, please do leave them in the comments or write me on my email, which is me.periergy@gmail.com. Thank you for watching. Leave a like, hit the subscribe button because it might not help YouTube, but it does really help me out because it would make me really, really happy. And I would thank you so much. So thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed.